Hello, my name is Rahul Mitra, and this is actually the first webinar of a series I'm hoping to really to produce related to research methods. So let me just start sharing my screen. So the topic for today is essentially how to find your research online. Um, and the way I understand this is fairly simple. So imagine that you are in a class and your instructor has given you a journal article or a book chapter citation, and you have to find the journal article or book chapter on your own and use it for your research. And if you're a beginning master's student or in a graduate program, chances are this sounds easier than it probably is in practice. So how do you find a journal article or a book chapter citation on your own? Believe it or not, it's actually fairly simple. And I would suggest four main strategies. The first strategy is using your university's library website. The second strategy is Google Scholar. The third strategy is using any of the websites like academia.edu or researchgate.net, on which you can easily create a free profile, and you can find a lot of free downloads for research articles and book chapters. And if all else fails, last but not the least, simply email the authors. The authors' email addresses will be available on the web page of any article that you find, and so that will be fairly easy. So let's get started right away, shall we? So imagine that this is your university's webpage. So this is in fact the library.wayne.edu. This is the web page for my university's web library system at Wayne State University. So let's take a sample article that we need to find. I'm going to go back to sharing my my screen at this point, so that way we can actually share a lot of this material available for you. Okay, great. So so imagine this is the article that you've been asked to find. McTuffie, Connor, and Shoemates, Does the CSR Message Matter? Untangling the Relationship Between Corporate Nonprofit Partnerships. Created Fit, Messages, and Activist Evaluations, right here. A simple matter of doing would be simply just take the copy paste the text itself and just go on Google directly and just copy paste it right there. And you can see right here on the page that you are seeing a number of different resources over here. You've already got the CSR Message Matter Untangling Relationship on researchgate.net. That's something we're going to come back to in a bit. And you've got other examples where you see the same article popping up, right? Before we go to researchgate.net, let's try typing in that same title of the article in your search button for your university website, which in this case will be here, quick search. So I type it in right here and I click enter. So on the wayne.edu library search, you see that you have different quadrants or areas for where the search results pop up. You've got an articles page, you've got books and media, journals, databases, wayne.edu, Digital Commons, and so on and so forth. Now, you know that what you're looking for is a journal article, not a journal, right? Because it's not the title of a journal, it's the title of a journal article. So, so it would appear under this journal article heading right here, and you see it already has. So if you click on this particular link, I often do open link in new tab, but you don't necessarily have to if you just click right click right here. Generally, your library system will ask you to log in. In this case, I'm already logged into my library system. That is something you can take care of in advance of logging on your own. But in this case, I'm already logged in, and my details you see are already right there. So I'm just going to click on send, and there you go. The library system itself will connect me to the page, the journal page, where the article already is. So I generally have to accept my cookies right there. But so this is essentially, you know, the where you can download the article that you were looking for. Um, Generally, you can actually find that the HTML version or the web page version of the article is easily open. So if you find that the HTML version is easy for you to read and scan, that's fantastic. If you'd rather just download an actual PDF copy, then you have that option available here as well for you. It's called the download PDF. So click on download PDF. And there you go. You're going to have the the PDF downloadable version available for you as well. The advantage of having the downloadable PDF version, of course, is that this clearly shows the page numbers for the entire article. In the HTML version, you do not have the page version, right? So just click on this download icon right here at the top right-hand corner. Click on download, and you can just name it whatever you want to name it. Maktufi et al. 2020 is fine. You can just download it to wherever you want in your computer. Generally, I put it in my download folder, right? So that was relatively simple, right? And nothing too problematic, nothing too difficult, really. So now if you go back to your library's main web page, sometimes you might actually get articles where they might tell you, however, that the actual article itself is not available for download. And this occurs for a number of reasons. It could well be that your university's library system does not subscribe to that particular journal article, to that particular journal, or to the publishers, the publishing company that produces the journal. And if that is the case, then there are a few other tricks up your sleeve that you actually can use. One of them is actually this one right here. I'm just going to share my screen right again. Is this one right here. It's called the Interlibrary Services. Now, depending on where you are, your library system can call it Iliad, it can call it Interlibrary system, whatever you want to call it. The Interlibrary Services basically is a consortium of a number of different libraries from a number of different institutions coming together, and they're pooling their resources in together. So sometimes your library might not have a subscription to a particular publisher, but another member library in the same interlibrary consortium might. And so through the interlibrary services system, you can in fact utilize that particular article. So click on Interlibrary Services. And essentially, this is what you come up to. Interlibrary Loan, My Library Account. I would suggest clicking on Interlibrary Loan. And again, it asks you to create you can create a profile name. In my case, my username and password are already logged in. So I'm just going to log on to Iliad right here. And this basically takes me to the platform where all of the where I can easily just ask for a new request or check for the status of my old request as needed. So if there's a new request, and this is an article, so I'll just click on article right here. And essentially, you just need to enter all the details for your article right here. So over here, the title, it asks you for the title for the journal. So be careful about that. This is the title for the journal. This is not the title for the article. The article title is down here. So if you have the article title, you can easily just type it down here, right? What is the title of the journal? Well, let's see. It was Management Communication Quarterly. So you can type that in right here as well. What was the volume of the journal? Well, you know that as well. It was 34 and issue 2. So 34, issue number 2. What was the year that the journal article was published? Well, it was 2020, so just right now. It helps if you have the ISSN, but then if you don't have it, that's fine. Don't worry too much about that. Okay. Article author, if you have the article author, that will be fantastic. So you can just copy paste what you have over here into the article author page. If you have a not wanted after date, you can easily put that in. Otherwise, you don't really need to. Will you accept the item in a language other than English? You don't really need to put in too much. You can just leave this as default right here. Okay. And just scroll down and pages where the item is cited, dates, you don't really need this part. The inclusive pages, that might help actually, right? So you have those details right in the citation, 188 to 212 in this case. Just enter those details right here. And when you're done, just click on Submit Request. You can see that right away this takes you to an outstanding request page, and you can see how they will let you know when the copyright clearance for your request is finished, and they will basically email you a PDF copy of your journal article. This also works for book chapters, by the way, and in fact the Interlibrary Loan is probably really good for book chapters because all too often, books, for instance, you're not really going to find necessarily available right away in online. I mean, they don't have their own websites per se, right? So one way going forward would be to, just use an example. So let's use this example right here, the Koch and Compton 2015 article, book chapter. This was corporate colonization in the market, discursive closures, and the greenwashing of food discourse. So pretty similarly, you'll be just doing exactly what we just followed. Remember, it first asks you for the title for the book. So in this case, the title for the book is The Political Language of Food. So you are going to click on book chapter request, book title, you enter that book title, the book author or the editor. All right, so the editor in this case is S. Boorboom, right? So you'll just enter that right there. Do you have the details for the publisher? Yes, you do. It's Lexington, and you know that it was published in Lanham, MD. So you can actually easily just enter these details in right here as well. Lexington. And the year it was published, we know it was 2015, right? From the citation, 2015. Better copy paste the title of the book chapter itself. Um, Inclusive pages, we'll enter that as well, but first we have the chapter title, so let's just enter that. So then what were the inclusive pages in the book, right? And so over here from the citation, we know that the inclusive pages were 227 to 250, and you just want to copy paste those in here as well, the inclusive pages. Now it does have another field for chapter author. So again, you just want to be careful that you're not mixing up the chapter author with the author or the editors of the book, right? So in this case, the book editor was S. Borbaum, but the chapter author were these two folks, Coach and Compton. So you want to copy paste these, their names, and just put them in this title page right here. Again, the rest you don't really need to worry too much about. It's pretty much a standard. And then you just simply hit submit request. So again, you can see that it goes directly into your outstanding requests webpage, and it says that it's awaiting copyright clearance. So that was your library system, right? The library system is, again, a really easy and simple way of finding out, making sure that you have the access to the journal article. So our second strategy, if you remember, was using Google Scholar. So let me just share my screen again for Google Scholar, and then we'll figure out how to use that one in particular. So this is the Google Scholar page, right? The Google Scholar page has articles and case law. You don't want to click on case law unless you're a legal scholar. So just copy paste the title of your article right there in your Google Scholar page. So let's take another example. Suppose we go with this one, right? Blight, I always knew I was a little girly, the gendering of skills in management training. So generally, you can either copy paste the entire citation itself, or just the title. It's whatever works, and just click on search. And you can see right away that Google Scholar returns you to exactly where you want to go. Right? It takes you to the it shows you the exact article right away. Now, in this case, we're lucky because you can see that over here, a PDF is actually available on researchgate.net. You're actually killing two birds with one stone in this situation, because the author had actually uploaded a PDF copy of their research on researchgate.net, Google Scholar can easily find it and is returning you to the PDF copy. So which is really convenient. That might not, however, be the case in all situations. However, let's click on this one and we'll see what works out. All right, so we go to management learning, right? And here we are. This is, again, it takes you to the HTML page of the article that you need to find. And again, you can either use the HTML version, or you can just click on the download PDF, and you have the PDF version that you can easily utilize. And that really works out really nicely. Right. So what is ResearchGate.net though, right? Because we talked about that earlier. We saw that earlier, and so you might be a little curious about what ResearchGate.net does. So both ResearchGate.net and this one, academia.edu, both of these are actually social networking sites for academics. And you can easily create a profile, a free profile, and log into them. I already have a free profile, so I'm just going to click login for each of mine. And what they allow you to do what they basically allow you to do is I think I was, let's see. Here you go. Right, I'm logged in now to both academia.edu and researchgate.net. What they basically allow you to do is essentially to see, to create a profile for yourself, right? And to network with other academics who might be providing relevant and allied research for you. And so it allows you to sort of create this community of researchers around your work. Related to our webinar right now in terms of actually searching, the advantage is obviously is if people are uploading PDFs of their work on their profiles, and I'll just quickly show you my PDF my profile right now. Whoops, right here. Um, under the research tab, well, this can be any of these can be easily obtained by others who are searching for these research articles. So in my case, for instance, you can see how I've got the PDF uploaded right here, and it's easily free for download by anyone who also has a ResearchGate.net profile or might want to share it from me. So in fact, we saw that over here, right? With the Blight article that we saw that there was a PDF version available on ResearchGate.net, and you could easily find that out there. So another example would be to go directly to researchgate.net right here and actually try to find it from here. So academia.edu, for instance, has a little search tab here called Search for Papers, People, and Interest. And you can see that researchgate.net also has a similar little search tab right at the top, search for researchers, publications, and more. So we can actually just enter the same citation for the Blight article for each of them and see what we get. So right away you see by clicking it in researchgate.net, there you go. I'm connected right away to the article on researchgate.net, and I can easily just download the article right here from researchgate.net. So Sarah Jane Blight, the scholar, actually already uploaded it over here. The advantage of having a profile on researchgate.net or academia.edu, of course, is that you can go directly and connect with the scholar who wrote the article as well. And you can follow that scholar, and so you can actually get updates on any other work that he or she is in fact uploading. So we saw how we could actually get these article on researchgate.net. Let's quickly see if we can get the same thing on academia.edu. Again, just typing in the citation in the search tab right here, and then clicking on enter and seeing what happens. Let's see. So over here, for instance, you can see that we're not actually really able to get that article, right? Upgrade to filter results. So this is actually a good learning opportunity for you that you might not actually be able to obtain the article on both researchgate.net and academia.edu. It might be one or the other, right? So in this case, this tells me that Sarah Blight, the author, really only created a ResearchGate.net profile, and so that's why you can access the article on ResearchGate. Because she did not create, or maybe she does not have an academia.edu profile, academia.edu is not going to be helpful for you in this case. So it's probably a good idea to check them both out. Remember, Google Scholar is a good place to start. But if Google Scholar doesn't help you, in that case, I would suggest checking into academia.edu or onto researchgate.net. Finally, if that fails as well, what do you do? Well, if that fails as well, in that case, then you simply basically have to go back to the author, right? Sometimes the authors are, in fact, I shouldn't say sometimes, most of the times, the authors are actually really, really eager to help you and grant you access to their work. And in that case, all you really need to do is just email the author, right? So once if you've gone through all of these resources, um, first your university's library's website, then Google Scholar, then academia.edu, and then researchgate.net, and you still have not been able to obtain a copy of the article, in that case, you can email the author directly. Now, in some cases, you might actually find that especially on these two resources, academia.edu and researchgate.net, you might actually find the authors listed as well as the article itself listed, but it might tell you that, well, a public copy of the particular chapter or article is not available. And it might say that, well, you need to contact the author directly, and gives you sort of a little message window where you can email the author directly through those platforms. If that option is available for you, I would say just go ahead and do that. If that option is not available for you, then you can easily just find the author's email address from the web page of the journal article itself and email them directly. So as a starting graduate student, you might wonder, well, what do I email the author? What should my email say? What should the tone really be? So you can see a sample email right here on this slide. And it's fairly simple, fairly easy, doesn't need to go into a whole lot of detail. Dear Doctor, whatever my name is, and I'm a graduate student at, give the name of university and department. And you can say that I'm currently working on a research project related to, whatever issue you're working on. And I came across your article or book chapter online. Always make sure that you give the name of the article or book chapter so that the author knows exactly what you're talking about. And you can, after that, you can quite clearly simply say that, well, my institution library does not provide me with a copy to your article or book chapter, and I wonder if you could email me a copy of the same. You could mention over here that you will, of course, cite their work should you end up using it for their project. Thank you for your consideration and have a wonderful day. And that is basically it. A simple, easy question, and that's all really that anyone is really looking for. So I hope that this short webinar was helpful with all the tips and strategies about how to find a journal article or a book chapter that you have the citation for, but you don't quite know how to obtain. You have a great day.